Welcome to this episode of Pivot Points, your guide to analytical excellence using Excel. In this episode, we will develop our first Excel model to solve our business question, which is what percentage of sales occurs at each store. We will implement the concepts that we have learned in the last videos, which consisted of the concepts of grouping and aggregation, the anatomy of sum ifs function, and the art of working with Excel named ranges. Okay, so this is our data set. Data set has four fields, namely the product, month, store, and sell. Concepts of the sum ifs function that we have learned in our last video very extensively. So this is the formula we are going to use, and we will parameterize our sum ifs function in a way so that our business question is answered. However, before that, I will demonstrate you how to work with Excel named ranges, because that's the way to work with large data sets of Excel rather than just having the default column names. So we'll start by naming each and every columns, and we will use named ranges in all our subsequent calculations. So as we have discussed in our earlier video, that that sumifs is the function that is used to group or slice the data set and then aggregate that slice. So we will start by defining our name ranges. So in order to define the name ranges, what you have to do is to go to the formulas tab and then go to the named manager, to the name manager, and then start defining the variables corresponding to each of the ranges that you have. Here in this case, we have four columns to our data. The first three columns, namely A, B, C, that is product, month, and store, are dimension columns, and the column D is the metric column. So as a standard, we will prefix each of the column with C and the entire data set as DS. That's the convention we are going to follow throughout all our tutorials. So now let us start defining our column. So we define our first name range, which is C underscore product. We will keep the scope as workbook because we also want to use this particular named range in a worksheet other than this particular worksheet. So we will not keep the scope as restricted to this worksheet, which is Q1 only. We will put the scope as workbook. And then we will have to put the range which this named variable C product will refer to. Now what is the range? The range is the entire list of the product, which will start from the column A1 till the end of the data set, which is till the last row of the data set, which is the 1327th row. So we will simply go ahead and write $A $1327 and we will click OK. So our first named range has been defined. Similarly, we will create the named range for the month column. So similarly, it is C underscore month. We will keep the scope as workbook and we will put the correct reference, which is from B1 again to B1327. Similarly, for the other two columns, which is store, workbook, we will have this from first column of this to C1327, and similarly for sales. We will also have one named range for the entire data set. We will prefix that by DS. So we'll have DS sales. This entire data set will be from A1 till D1327. So all our basic name ranges have been configured. Once you configure the name ranges, you can go ahead and click the variable box. This is the variable list box. And then click on you will see the name ranges appear here. And once you click one of those variables, you will see the corresponding range will get highlighted. So if you click on month, month will get highlighted. If you click on DS, the entire range will get highlighted. Like this. Let's now formulate the actual model. So the first step is to find out and arrange the unique values of dimension in a column. So if you remember from our earlier presentation that the slicing of the data set has to happen based on the unique value of dimension. In this case, the dimension is the store. It has two unique values. One is uptown, the other is downtown. So our first activity is to put the unique values of the concerned dimension. So let us see how to do that. In order to do that, you have to go to the advanced filter. So click on data and go to the advanced filter, and then click on copy to another location in the list range. That is from where we are extracting the unique value, which is the list range that corresponds to the particular dimension in concern. In this case, our dimension is the store. So we have already defined a variable which is a named range that corresponds to the store column, which is C store. So we will put C store. So this list range is the store column from which we are extracting the unique values of store and putting those unique values in the range or in the cell G30. Because we are storing the unique values, we will have to check unique records only. The moment you do that, you will see that the unique values have appeared here. Now what we have to do, we have to simply create two more columns, one for sales, the other for percentage of sales, and calculate the values. The next step, what we have to do is to create another named range for the array that contains the unique value of the dimension, which is this array. If you see downtown and uptown. So what we will do, we will go simply to the formulas once again. We go to the name manager, we create new, and since it's a vertical array, we will put the prefix as v of store, and we will say that this particular name refers to this range, the range that stores the unique value of the concerned dimension. Model our sumifs function. So we'll do sumifs. The sum range is, we have already seen that it is the first parameter is the metric which is getting summed up. In this case, it is cell. So we will put C cell. C cell was the variable, the named range we had defined for the cell column. So we'll put C cell. Then we will have to put the name of the dimension, the name of the dimension. So here the name of the dimension, the column that corresponds to the dimension is store. So we will have to put C store. And then we have to put the value of the dimension. The value of the dimension, as you can see, is either uptown or downtown, but we do not, but since we are working with named ranges, we do not have to put the values individually. We can simply parameterize it using the vertical array of the unique values of the dimension that we have just defined, which is nothing but v underscore store. The moment we do that and put enter, our entire calculation is done. So once again, if we go back, this is sumifs. We are summing up sales where store is equal to the unique value of the store, which means it will automatically interpret this in a way that in the first iteration, it will put the value of C store as downtown, calculate the sum for downtown. In the second iteration, it will put the value of C store as uptown and calculate the value of uptown. This is automated, and you do not have to really put individual column names and then scroll down to the bottom and all those cumbersome things you do not have to do, because you are already working with named ranges. That's precisely the advantage of working with named ranges. Now, how to calculate the percentage of sale? Here also, we will use named ranges. So we will create another named range for sales. Now we will create another named range for sales. Now, because this is also a vertical array, we will put the name as v underscore sales, and we will refer this named range to this array, the sales array, and we'll keep enter. We'll close this now. Now the percentage will be nothing but v underscore sales divided by sum of all elements of v underscore sales. Now you just have to convert it into percentage to get the percentage. Now let us now do this using our pivot table. Now we simply go ahead and insert the pivot table in pivot table from table range. We know our base data that will form this pivot table will be the entire data set, which we have already defined as ds underscore sales. We will put the output of the pivot table in this worksheet only. Let's assume that we put it here. in M29 cell and we click OK. Now, the moment you do this, the field list of the pivot table appears. It's only that you will have to parameterize the fields in a way so that it answers the given business question. So we know that in the rows of the pivot table, we want the store. The store are in the rows. They appear in the rows. If you see, these are the store that appear in the rows. So store will go to the rows, and sale will go to values because this is the metric. The metric will always go to the sigma value. The sale will go to value, and we will have the sum of sale. The mathematical operations that we are doing on sale is sum. So store in rows and sum of sale in values, and we close the pivot table. The moment you do that, you will see the values exactly the same as the one that we had calculated using the sumifs function. Now, how to calculate the percentage? One way is similar to the earlier case that you divide the individual values by the sum to get the percentage. But when you are using pivot table, it gives you a further more comfortable option. So what has to be done is this, that you go to show field list, you again pull the cell to values once again. You again pull the cell to values. So if once you do that, you will see a second variable created here, sum of cell 2. Now this sum of cell 2, you will represent this as a percentage and not as a absolute value. So what you have to do, you have to click on the second sum, go to field value setting and go to show values as tab, and then you click on this drop down of show values as and choose select percentage of column total, because you are actually calculate the percentage of the column sales, percentage of the column, and click OK and close. By simply pulling the metric once again and representing it as the percentage of column total, you get the percentage of sale for each of the location. Now you simply go ahead and put more legitimate names. So you can put store here, store sales, percentage sales. So we have just solved the business question, what percentage sales occurs at each store. Tomorrow we will go to our next question, what percentage of sales occurs in each month. We will again use the sumifs function and pivot table to solve the question exactly in the same way, exactly following the same steps that we have explained today. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.